We'll call the March 12, 2026 Revenue Estimating Conference to order. All three members are here. Mr. Pleggy's on the line. Oh, there, I guess you can see him up there on the screen. So go ahead and jump right in. First of all, approve the agenda. Unless there's an objection, I'll declare that approved. Here are no objections. I approve that. Approve the minutes for the December 25 RAC meeting. Any discussion? Otherwise, without objection, I'll declare that approved. And with that, we will go to Director Acton.
Thank you. Fiscal year 2026 is the first full fiscal year the state individual income tax rate has been 3.8%, and Iowa's general fund revenues have generally tracked as expected. As of March 6th, Iowa general fund revenues are down 8.2% for the year. Lower gross tax revenue, due primarily to state tax cuts and the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, have decreased revenues as previously estimated. Looking at the global economy and due to recent events taking place in the Middle East, there's a lot of economic uncertainty on the horizon, which could adversely affect both Iowa and the national economies. The national economy has been resilient and continued to grow stronger than expected over the past year. However, there are increasing headwinds. U.S. GDP grew by an estimated 2.2% in 2025, down from 2.8% in 2024. The fourth quarter of 2025 GDP slowed to 1.4% annual growth from 4.4% in the third quarter. However, part of that decline was due to the federal government shutdown. The softening we have seen over the past year in the labor market continues. Over the last 6 months, ending February 2026, job growth has averaged minus 1,000 jobs a month, down from a 6-month average job growth of 92,000 jobs a month in February 2025. Through February 2026, the national unemployment rate has increased over the past year from 4.2% to 4.4%. While U.S. consumer spending has powered the economy over the past year, there are signs of a pullback. The U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis reported real disposable personal income has dropped over the last 8 months. The personal savings rate decreased from 3.6% in December 2025 to 5.5% in April 2025 and is the lowest since October 2022. Although the most recent annual retail sales growth was 3.2% year over year, U.S. retail sales experienced a modest decline in January 2026, with sales down 0.2% compared to a period of flat retail sales over the holiday shopping period in December. In addition, mortgage rates dipped below 6% in February, yet affordability remains a concern for home buyers and continues to dampen the housing market. The Consumer Price Index remains elevated at 2.4% in February 2026, which is no change from February 2025, but down from 3% in September 2025. Core CPI was 2.5% in February 26, down from 3.1% in February of 2025. Tariffs continue to drive price increases and are expected to remain a significant factor in the foreseeable future. Gas prices have increased due to the conflict in the Middle East and are up considerably from a month ago. Presently, most of Iowa's leading economic indicators are positive, and Iowa's economic growth is positive, reflected by a 5% increase in Iowa's GDP in the third quarter of 2025. However, Iowa's agriculture and manufacturing economies continue to experience stress due to trade uncertainties, low commodity prices, and high input costs. Iowa's unemployment rate remains steady at 3.5%. In addition, the labor force participation rate is at 67.7%, and the state added a total of 27,400 jobs in 2025. Last year, manufacturing in Iowa lost approximately 2,100 jobs. However, according to Creighton University, the Iowa's Business Conditions Index for February showed an uptick in manufacturing production in Iowa. As mentioned earlier, the OBA presents conflicting dynamics for Iowa's economy and estimating general fund revenues. Many pieces of the legislation should help Iowa businesses and individuals by providing more discretionary income. However, the overall impact of the OBA will create lower taxable federal income, which flows through Iowa because the state automatically conforms with the federal tax law. Turning to the LSA forecast, despite recent economic growth, we believe it is prudent to be cautious as we look to the future. The LSA's estimate for the general fund revenues is a decrease of FY 2026 due to impacts from the state tax cuts and the OBA impacts, while the estimates for 27 and 28 reflect economic growth paired with a cautious approach due to geopolitical concerns and an unpredictable global economic environment.
Thank you. Mr. Pleggy.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to that. Those are great summary comments, and there is a lot of noise in the market in a lot of ways. But when I look at the ag situation in Iowa, it seems to be a little more stable than I maybe expected, although obviously a lot of issues and a lot of concerns going forward, but maybe better than we expected in the renewal season of the ag side. So with that, I'll end my comments.
Thank you. I'll also share just a few thoughts here. First of all, as always, thank you to the governor for the opportunity to represent the executive branch on the Revenue Estimating Conference. And as always, I want to extend a thank you to the committee members for their thoughtful participation and all the people who helped prepare the members for these deliberations, including Legislative Services Agency, the Department of Management, and the Department of Revenue. Today's work essentially does three things. First, it confirms the state has the necessary revenue to meet fiscal year 26 appropriations made last legislative session. Second, it sets the spending thresholds for fiscal year 27. And third, puts forward the first estimate for FY 28 revenues. For fiscal year 26, the executive branch, the legislative branch recommendations are separated by a mere $900,000. The reduction in the executive branch projection compared to the December REC is being driven by a nationwide trend of lower corporate tax receipts, primarily stemming from the provisions in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, such as bonus and special depreciation. Looking forward to fiscal years 27 and 28, there are optimistic signs coming from the private sector, indicating that economic activity will accelerate. The Iowa Business Council's most recent economic outlook survey included an over 8-point increase in sales expectations going into 2026, driving an overall economic outlook to be 2 points higher than the historical average. Across the state, we see several large investments made by businesses, including 2 recently announced projects by Arconic and Vermeer at over $100 million each. Other employers are expanding operations and bringing workers back as demand improves. These developments reflect growing confidence in Iowa's workforce and business climate and will support additional job creation and income growth across the state. Looking further into 27 and 28, other indicators also point to continued strength in Iowa's economy and support expectations for state revenue growth. The state continues to see solid growth in sales and use tax receipts, reflecting steady consumer spending. Labor force participation has improved and wage growth has remained strong, increasing household incomes and purchasing power for Iowa's families. Inflation is moderated significantly. The annual inflation rate in the United States was 2.4% for the 12 months ending this past February, helping restore purchasing power for consumers as well. Taken together, strong consumer spending, rising incomes, moderating inflation, and renewed investment in manufacturing, these trends provide a solid foundation for strong growth in fiscal year 27 and 28. The state continues to be in an excellent financial position. The state has a $5.6 billion in cash on hand. FY25 closed with an ending balance of $1.9 billion. The reserve funds are full, and the Taxpayer Relief Fund has a balance of $4 billion. With these projections, the FY26 enacted budget continues to meet all the statutory requirements and leaves money in the ending balance as well as the reserve funds being fully funded. With that, we'll move to the next agenda item, and that would be review fiscal year 2026 general fund estimates, accruals, refunds, school infrastructure transfer, and lottery and other transfers. And I will move to Mr. Plagy.
So I have no comments on any individual categories, and I would suggest that we accept the LSA numbers for FY26.
The motion is to accept the LSA recommendation for fiscal year 26. Any discussion?
No discussion.
Second.
We're so close. Yeah, I mean, we're within.
Right.
I will second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
So the LSA numbers for 26 are adopted. Review fiscal year 2027 general fund estimates, accruals, refunds, school infrastructure transfer, and lottery and other transfers. Again, Mr. Plagy.
Yeah, just a question. If you could expand a little bit on the sales use difference. That seems to be the big category.
I missed the. Say the first part again.
I noticed that the sales category seems to be a significant difference. I'm just curious if anyone had any additional comments on that.
I guess, I don't know if that's, I guess we'll treat that as a question for both of us. I think from the executive branch perspective, we just see really strong indicators. We've seen over the recent time period, meaningful growth in the sales tax category. And from an outlook perspective, we're just anticipating, I guess we are anticipating seeing a little bit more growth in the sales space than I guess LSA is. I don't think there's anything else to add to that.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, ours is just a little more cautious because we're anticipating just lower retail sales growth. Savings are decreasing. We're just looking at more of the national economy, and there's just, with uncertainty in the oil prices and energy costs, I think our sales number is just a little more cautious.
Yeah. Yeah, and I look at that as well from more of a national standpoint than I do from a state as well. But so I guess my recommendation on this one as well is going to be with the LSA numbers.
I think if I may offer a compromise, I had kind of in my head more along splitting the difference.
What would it look like?
I mean, it can be split up a couple different ways. Some of that into individual income, some of that into sales.
Yeah, I'd be fine looking at that.
Yeah, and
if we were to look at the spread is 212. So if you were to look to take half of that, so 106, and place that into personal income tax and sales and use, do you have a suggestion there? Mr.
Yeah,
Plagan, how you would think about.
Jennifer,
go ahead.
Did you have any add there?
What do you say?
Say it one more time.
Yeah, Jennifer, you were going to say something, but
Oh, I have a proposal. Otherwise, if you don't, to split the difference.
and what would that be?
So I would propose that. That's a good question. I would suppose that we look at adding 50 million to personal and 40. Yeah. How about we do 60 million to personal and 40? So 46 in sales. Yeah, that'll get us there. To split the difference.
So taking your initial motion, Mr. Plagy, and with this adjustment, then I will restate the motion is to use the LSA numbers, but add 60 million into personal income tax and 46 million into sales use tax.
Yeah, I would make that motion. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm good with that. Second.
Okay. You guys got that? Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and that is adopted. Next on the list, estimate fiscal year 2028 general fund estimates, accruals, refunds, school infrastructure transfer, and lottery and other transfers. And I'll go to Mr. Plagy. And again, I mean, I think I was just going to say, if to the extent it's helpful, we're at the executive branch is at 3% growth, LSA at 2.8. I'm comfortable splitting.
And I'd be good as that as well with that. So I make that motion.
Okay. So then I'm kind of looking at you. You have any input?
Yeah, no, I'd be good with that. These we're talking about a number that's 15 to 27 months away. So.
Yep. Right. Okay. So the motion is to recalculate the number. Are you guys comfortable if we do this as a percentage, or do you need to calculate the number first? Okay, so the growth number, and this is just one number, just to remind the attendees, we don't actually go through and do all the individual tax types in this space until October. So the motion is to project growth for fiscal year 28 at 2.9%. And second,
I'll second.
any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. So that is adopted. Next agenda item is fiscal years 26 to 27 gambling revenues transferred to other funds and interest earned on reserve funds. That is transferred to the Rebuild Iowa Infrastructure Fund. Mr. Pleggy.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, we have the motion to adopt what is on the sheet here. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and that is adopted. Is there any other business to come before the conference? Seeing none, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.